Welcome back, viewers. Today, we'll be delving into a topic that affects many couples: emotional neglect in marriage. It's a silent struggle that can leave one feeling lonely and unfulfilled. In this video, we'll highlight 3 critical indicators of emotional neglect in a marriage. So let's jump right in. Lack of concern, warmth, and involvement. The first indicator of emotional neglect is the lack of concern, warmth, and involvement from your spouse. Have you noticed that your partner consistently shows disinterest in your life, dismisses your concerns, or prioritizes other aspects of their life over your emotional well-being? If so, it may be a sign of emotional neglect. Have you ever shared your accomplishments or worries with your partner, only to receive a nonchalant response that leaves you feeling unseen and unimportant? This lack of genuine interest or enthusiasm can be an indicator that emotional neglect might be present in your marriage. Do you find yourself frequently initiating conversations with your partner, but they seem more focused on their phone, TV, or other distractions than engaging with you? If your partner consistently fails to be present and involved in your conversations, it could be a sign that emotional connection is lacking. According to renowned psychologist Dr. John Gottman, emotional neglect is like a slow poison in a marriage. It erodes the foundation of connection and intimacy over time. Feeling alone in dealing with worries and emotions. The second indicator is feeling alone in dealing with worries and emotions. Have you ever faced challenging situations or strong emotions and felt like you had nobody to turn to for support or understanding? This feeling of isolation could be a sign of emotional neglect. Have you experienced times when you've been overwhelmed with stress, sadness, or anxiety, and your partner seemed disinterested or dismissive when you tried to discuss your feelings? Feeling like you're navigating your emotions alone, without a supportive partner, is an indication that emotional neglect might be present. Has your partner consistently avoided having deeper conversations about your fears, aspirations, or concerns, leaving you feeling like they're emotionally unavailable? If your spouse shies away from engaging in meaningful discussions, it's important to consider whether emotional neglect could be affecting your relationship. In her book, Jasmine Lee Corey writes, "Emotional neglect can leave deep scars on the psyche. It's the absence of emotional responsiveness that can wound a person deeply." Communication breakdown and withdrawal. Our third indicator revolves around communication. Have you noticed that your spouse consistently avoids discussing deeper emotional topics? Do they become defensive, dismissive, or withdraw during these conversations? These behaviors might be signs of emotional neglect. Have you ever tried to initiate a heartfelt conversation with your partner about your relationship or emotions, only for them to become defensive or change the subject? If open communication leads to defensive reactions or avoidance, it's worth exploring whether emotional neglect is impacting your ability to connect. Have you felt that your partner's willingness to engage in meaningful conversations has significantly decreased over time, leaving you with a growing sense of emotional distance? A consistent pattern of communication breakdown or withdrawal can indicate that emotional neglect is affecting the quality of your interactions. Dr. Sue Johnson, a prominent couples therapist, emphasizes emotional isolation is the most corrosive factor in relationships. It's the silent killer of connection. Impact of emotional neglect in marriage. Now that we discussed these critical indicators, let's briefly touch upon the impact of emotional neglect in a marriage. Emotional neglect can lead to feelings of resentment, sadness, and dissatisfaction within the relationship. It creates a void where emotional intimacy should be, leaving the neglected partner feeling unimportant and undervalued. Over time, this can erode the foundation of the marriage and cause long-term harm to both partners. Let's consider a scenario. Imagine a couple, Sarah and Alex. Over the years, Alex's lack of emotional engagement and disinterest in Sarah's feelings created a growing emotional distance. How do you think Sarah might have felt in this situation? Sarah likely felt unheard, unappreciated, and emotionally isolated. Alex's emotional neglect contributed to a strained and dissatisfying relationship. Remember, emotional neglect is a serious issue that requires attention and action. If you're experiencing these indicators in your marriage, it's crucial to address the problem and seek support. Seeking couples therapy or practicing open and honest communication can be helpful in rebuilding emotional connection. Nobody deserves to feel neglected in their marriage. That concludes our discussion on the 3 critical indicators of emotional neglect in a marriage. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more informative content. As always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.